Hi, I'm Lorraine Eaton. I'm the food writer at the Virginian-Pilot, and we are here in Willis Wharf, Virginia, on the Eastern Shore to learn how to shuck oysters, Virginia style. We're at the H.M. Terry Company Oyster Shucking House with Pete Terry. He is the CEO of this fourth generation oyster company, and he's going to show us how to open an oyster today. A different style of oyster opening that you might have ever seen, but very appropriate for Virginia's seaside oysters.
An oyster tastes like where it comes from. That's the wonderful thing about an oyster, is that you can grow oysters a half a mile apart, and those oysters have distinct taste depending on where they are and what area they come from.
So tell us where these were grown?
These oysters are grown in Hog Island Bay, Virginia.
That's a pretty special place.
That is a special place. The water is so clean there that it's been recognized by the United Nations as one of the last great places. These oysters are a little tougher to open than the New England oysters because they grow so fast, and their shell, although they have the cup that you look for in an oyster, they don't have the shell thickness. So instead of going through the hinge, like most of the New England oysters do, that are, because the shell is thick enough to allow you to do it, we go through another area. An oyster has a single abductor muscle in the front of the oyster that holds the two shells together. Most of the time in the wild, that shell is open and they're siphoning water through to feed. So in order to get into this oyster, actually the only thing that we really have to do is get under the shell and cut that abductor muscle. You know, most of the oysters, when you look at the shapes, we look at the inside of the oyster in here, and we use the shell on the outside as leverage to get under the front shell. It doesn't take a lot of strength. You don't want to overpower the oyster. You want a little bit of consistent strength and let the knife do the work for you. And once you get under the shell, then you simply go in,
Kind of shimmy it in there.
shimmy it in, and cut the abductor muscle away. And then the only thing that holds that shell together now is simply the hinge, and we just pry it off, or take your finger and pull it off, and there's your animal.
Nice.
And then you want to go in and cut the other half of the abductor muscle away from the shell. You want to do this so that in such a way that you don't make mincemeat of your oyster.
And the other thing I like about what you've done is that you leave that good oyster liquor in there.
You do. And the oyster liquor adds a lot of taste to the oyster.
It does.
This is a good eating oyster right there. I would do that. A toast. Absolutely delicious.
You sure know how to grow an oyster.